this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to trade Forex, right? So this is going to be a trading course. It did stay trading course. So I'm basically doing this because my birthday is on the 31st of March and this is my birthday month. So in every single day, I'll be posting Forex educational content. It's a course, right? Whereby you'll be able to learn and everything, right? So why should you watch this video and why should you basically learn from me? Well, I have been trading for 3 years right now and I recently got profitable last year June, right? So I from last year June, so currently right now I've generated over $20,000 in total trading profit, right? So in this bootcamp, I'll basically teach you everything you guys need to know, right? So without further ado, let me start the video. Okay guys, so I basically want to explain what trading is in a whole, right? So basically trading is basically buying high and selling, buying low and selling low, right? So let's say for example, this is the place you entered at, right? So let me mark it with a red line, a red this thing, right? Right, let's say this line is where you enter the trade at, right? So I'll just add a buy here, right? So this is where your entry is, your entry, right? This is where your entry is, like for instance, right? So, and then this is the candlestick, right? So if you guys don't know what a candlestick, you will still understand what it is later on in this course, right? So the candlesticks are basically these boxes you guys see here, right? I'll still do a separate video explaining what they are. So this is how it works, right? Most of the times, in general terms, the red candle means bearish, right? The red candle means bearish, and then the green candlestick means bullish. So I'm just going, just give me a second. Right, then the green candlestick means bullish, right? So this is what would happen, right? Let's say for example you enter for buys in this place, right? You enter for buys in this area, right? You want to enter for buys in this area. So now what would happen is that when you enter for buys here, what the market should do is that the market should basically go above that area, right, for you to become profitable, for you to make money from the buys you took, right? This is where you entered, and for you to make money, the price has to go up here, right? But if it fails and start going down, you will definitely lose, right? So now there are certain strategies that help us and know when the market has potential on going up, right? So I'm not saying that we don't lose. Yes, we do lose, but our wins are more than our losses as long as you have a strategy, right? So in this bootcamp, I'll share with you guys the strategy I use, right? Right, so without further ado, right now the same thing applies for sales, right? So if you were to enter sell, if you were to enter for a sell here, right? If you were to enter for a sell here, right? You entered for a sell. What will happen is that the market will either go up, right, and create a green candlestick, or go down and create a red candlestick. Now it depends, right, with the strategy, right? So let's say for example, if the market decides to continue going down, you will make profit. Why? Because you entered for sell at the right time, right? And if it decided to go up, right, you would also lose, because why? You entered for sales, why? It went up, right? So without further ado, let me basically show you guys how the market moves, right? So the market moves in three different types of ways, right? So these ways are called, we have the uptrend, the downtrend, and then we have the consolidation, right? So the first one is called an uptrend. So an uptrend is basically when the market goes up in an up staircase, right? So it goes up, it just continually goes up, right? So this is an uptrend, right? So why is this an uptrend? Can anyone answer this question? Why is this an uptrend? And you might be correct, because it is continuously going up, right? So there is two things that an uptrend consists of. An uptrend consists of how many things? Two things. So these things are called higher high, and then they're also called higher lows, right? So whenever you see these two things, you basically know that we are in an uptrend, right? So how I like to look at this uptrend is like this thing, a football, right? So if you look at a football, right, let's say for instance, the football is bouncing off the stairs, right? while going up, right? So it will obviously bounce from one stair, fall down to the next, bounce off to the next stair, excuse me, bounce off to the next stair, bounce off the stair, come back down, bounce off, come back down, right? And then bounce off and then go back up, right? So now, for instance, if the ball was here right now, what would you expect for it to do, right? You'd obviously expect for it to do what? To come back down to this level. And then once it comes back down, it will obviously bounce from this level and then go back up, right? So this is a pattern that continuously happens, right? So now let me explain this in the Forex terms, right? We call these things higher highs and higher lows. Now, okay, now you might be asking yourself, how can you actually see these higher highs and higher lows? Where are they and why do we call them that way, right? So basically, a higher high, let me type it down. A higher high, I'll just cut it for short, HH, is basically the highest point the market has reached at a certain time, right? So for example, out of this whole move here, the current higher high is, I want you basically to guess, the current highest point right now in this uptrend, where is the current highest point, right? Is this the highest point? If you said yes, then you are wrong. Is this the highest point currently? If you said yes again, you are wrong. But if you said this one on top is the highest high, is the highest point the market has reached, you are correct. So I'll give that to you, right? Now, can you guess the highest low, right? So basically, I want you, let me just type it as well. HL, I'll just cut it short for HL, right? So can you guess where's the highest low, right? So basically this is a low, this is a low, this is a low, this is a low, right? But I want you to look at the highest out of all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Can you guess the highest low? And if you said this one, you're probably wrong. The highest low here is this one, right? Because it is a low, but it is higher than all of them, right? So this will come here. So now these two things create an uptrend, right? So previously, if you look back, this was the highest high, and then this was the highest low. And if you collect all these things back again, right? Right? Where is the highest high? This becomes the highest high, and then this becomes the highest low, right? So basically, this is what creates an uptrend, right? So for example, the same thing here. If you create a new higher high, this will stop becoming the higher low, and then this will become the higher high, and then this will become the higher low. This is important because this will help us know when to enter the chart at the exact perfect time, right? So for example, now coming back to the entry part that I explained, if you want to buy, for instance, in this place, you don't just buy anywhere, right? You can't just buy here. Like let's say for example, you want to enter for a buy trade, right? You cannot just enter the trade like this. You cannot enter for buys here. You cannot enter for buys here. Let's say you want to enter for buys. Sorry. This will be a no-no. You shouldn't be entering for buys here. So what should you do? You may be asking. What you should do is that you should wait for the market to do what? You should wait for the market to first of all, right? Do what? Create a higher low. This thing, a higher low, a new higher high, and then what do? You wait for it to come and create a higher low, right? Because now if you look at this same instance, what happens? Once the market comes for the higher low, it then turns to buy, right? So you wait for the market to create a potential what? To create a potential higher low for you to enter for the trade. That does make sense. So this is where you will be initially entering for your buys, and then you profit from there, right? Okay, now that you guys basically understand the buys, right? The uptrend, right? So in an uptrend, we look forward for buys. You guys have seen, right? Even with the buy, with this thing, with the ball method. Now I'm going to show you guys the sell, right? The selling part, right? Because you remember I said that there is three types of trends, right? So uptrend, we have covered the uptrend. Now we're going over to the downtrend. So the downtrend as well is like a ball going down the stairs, right? So it bounces off, and then it comes back down, it bounces off, and then it comes back down, it bounces off, and then it comes back down, right? So it keeps on bouncing off these levels, of these levels, and of these levels, right? So now the levels I've marked up so far currently are what we call lower highs in the forex market, right? So a lower high is basically a high that is the lowest. Right now you can clearly see that this one, it's a high, but this one is lower than this one, so that's why it is also a lower high. And then this one is lower than this one, so that's why it is the current lower high, right? So in downtrends we sell in lower highs. Like for example here, if you want to enter for a trade here, you basically wait for it to create a lower high and then you enter for sells, right? So this is where you'll be making all the money, selling at lower highs, right? So now let me just basically mark up the lower highs and ask you guys a few questions, right? So now that you guys know lower highs, let me also show you guys lower lows, right? So lower lows are basically all these lows, right? The lowest point the market has reached, right? So this is a lower low, this was a previous lower low, this was the other previous lower low, and then it's a lower low because it is the lowest point the market has reached, right? So right now let me just type them down here so you guys can basically see them. We have the LL, which is lower low, and then so I'll just place it here, I'll just leave it there, and then we have the lower high, LH, oh sorry, and then we have the LH, right? So now basically I have both of them here. I want you guys to basically guess where is the current low. Okay, let me just do like this. So now I want you guys to basically guess where is the current lower high and where is the current lower low, just by looking at this chart alone. I want you guys to guess. I'm giving you guys 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's enough, right? So if you guess correctly, the lower high is, where's the lower high? Is it this part? If you said this is this part or this part or anyone, you were wrong. The lower high currently is this point here, and then the lower low, you can guess where the lower low is. Okay, the lower low currently, the lower low is this area here, right? Does that make sense? Right? So lower high, lower low. So we profit from the lower low, from the lower high to the lower low. This is where you will make money, right? From here to here is where we make money, right? So, and this is basically the simplest way to explain trading for you. So now let me come back to our entry board right here, right? So let's say for example you are looking for sells. You are clearly seeing that the market is in a downtrend, right? The market is in a downtrend, consecutively creating lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and then lower highs, and then lower lows, right? What would you do? Would you sell here at this point in time? I'll give you 5 seconds to answer this question. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you said yes, you're going to sell here, you are completely wrong. Why? Because remember, if you sell here, right, if you enter for a sell here, number one, you have to wait for this lower low push, right? You have to wait for this you have to wait for this lower high push. Once you get this lower high push, you can basically enter for sells right there, right? And then profit throughout, right? So it will be like you entered there, right? And then there'll be huge candlesticks, huge candlesticks dropping from there, right? Which signify that you actually sold, right? And you're making money. Okay, so now these are the two types, right? So in an uptrend, let me type it down. Uptrend, we buy at potential lower, higher lows, right? So now think of it like this, right? Why is it called a potential low, higher low, right? I want you to think of it like this, right? when you go and let's say for example, when you buy gold, right? So when you buy gold, of course, maybe the dealer tells you that the piece of gold is $5,000, right? $5,000, and within the next month it will it will increase in price, right? So the gold of price, the piece of price you bought will be six thousand $6,000, right? That's basically similar, right? You are buying the gold at a cheaper price, expecting it to go higher. So now the same thing applies for either the both sides, right? So for example, you are buying the gold at $5,000, right? Let's say this line represents $5,000, and then this other line represents $6,000, right? So we are buying it here at $5,000, hoping for it to increase in price so that you can make a profit for $6,000, right? That's basically how I would explain this whole movement, right? So now, in an uptrend, don't forget, we buy at a potential high low, and then in a downtrend, we do what? In a downtrend, we basically sell at lower highs, right? So a easy way for you guys to remember this thing is HL, LH. All of them have H, right? So whenever you see these things, you know that you're selling in an LH, you're selling in a HL, you are buying, right? So the next thing I basically want to show you guys, remember I said that there's three of them. It's what we call the consolidation, right? So a consolidation, when I had it the first day when I started trading, it sounded very big. It sounded like a big word, but it's basically confused market, right? When everything is confused, when nothing is going, when it's basically like traffic, right? Nothing is moving, right? It's just busy doing a whole bunch of nothing, right? That's basically how I could describe a consolidation, right? So let's say, for example, you look at here at the path, the market is just continuously going up, going down, going up, going down, going up, going down, going up, right? Going up, going down, and so on and so forth, right? That's basically what a consolidation is, right? So in simple terms, this is the easiest way I can basically explain a consolidation. So imagine if the market is doing this. Number one, you will not be able to make money. Number two, you will just be there. So the best thing we do in consolidations is basically to avoid them, because that's where majority of people lose money. Okay, so this is basically day one of me explaining this, right? So in the other days, I'll still explain a whole lot of things within this 30 days. You guys will learn every single thing you need to learn. Okay, so just leave a follow button and please subscribe, right? The more I see in this video, right, this will actually determine whether I should continue posting this educational content, right, or I should quit. If you guys subscribe, I will highly appreciate it. And for the fact that you've stayed this far, you are going to genuinely make it in trading, right? Or in anything you want to make it in, because you have shown signs of dedication, and I believe in you, right? So keep on doing what you're doing. And tomorrow again, I'll post the other trading video.